also Tara means savioress, like savior, really, Tara means. And Tara, Taya, there are various versions of it. And so she's a female messianic figure, as Avalokiteshvara is a male messianic figure. You know? She's like the Mother Mary of the Mahayana Buddhist cultures, actually, not just Tibet, also China, Korea, Japan.
Is this the white Tara or the green Tara?
Doesn't matter, all of the Taras. Green Tara is a little more active. White Tara sits there. She has eyes in the palms of her hands and feet, so maybe she doesn't like to run around that much. She sits and meditates, she heals, she sends out healing and peace. And Green Tara is always depicted with one foot down on a lotus, that's lower lotus, meaning she's ready to come. And they have the famous prayers to Tara, and there's many steles you can see in Indian museums or in art books and Tibetan tankas, surrounded by 8 scenes. It's Ashtabaya, the saving from the 8 dangers Tara. And there's one of them is wild elephants, lions and tigers, snakes, floods, fires, hurricanes, and one other. And in any of the, or in jail, imprisonment. And if you're in any of those situations and you have enough faith in Tara and you call on Tara, she comes, she opens the jail door, she chases away the tigers, stops the elephants, whatever. They believe that she could say, she did. And there are many stories, like Atisha on his way to Indonesia was caught in a typhoon, and he prayed to Tara, and Tara showed up and smoothed down the water, created an eye at the cyclone, and smoothed the ship through. This valley is the valley, now, Lama Govinda calls this the Valley of Akshobhya, because, Lama Govinda was a pioneer in the field, and he didn't realize at that point, I think, that there are different ways of distributing the 5 wisdoms and the 5 Buddhas. That it isn't just one way. And the mandala that he learned and that he taught in his Foundations of Tibetan Mysticism placed Vairochana in the center and had Akshobhya in the east, these are different wisdoms, different Buddhas they represent. There's 5 of them. And so he assumed that would work here as well. But actually, since this mountain, which he also knew very well, this mountain is supposed to represent the mandala of Chakrasambhara. The mandala where Vairochana is in the center is from what is called Yoga Tantra mandala, whereas the Chakrasambhara mandala is what is called unexcelled Yoga Tantra mandala. And they switched the place of Vairochana and Akshobhya. And Akshobhya goes in the center and Vairochana moves to the east. So this really is the Valley of Vairochana, actually. So that's one thing I have to correct Lama Govinda a little bit, Linda, I'm sorry. I have to write a note in your book. This is the Valley of Vairochana. It represents the mirror wisdom, mirror-like wisdom, which is the wisdom of delusion and attachment to forms transmuted into mirroring the perfection of ultimate reality. So that you see, every form that you see mirrors to you freedom and shunyata and bliss, rather than getting you stuck in that's a form that's blocking my freedom and so on. If you follow me. It's a transmutation of that. So, that's the one thing I have to say. The Valley of Vairochana, the Eastern Buddha. And then second, this particular intersection here, there are 8 rocky outcroppings on the top of the mountains. I guess we can count them as we walk down, up around here. We're sort of at the top of the nexus. And those rocky outcroppings represent the 8 medicine Buddhas, which is a very amazing thing. And I wanted to talk about it last night, but people were tired. And the medicine Buddha is an amazing, Mahayana Buddhist thing that was very, very important in the spread of Buddhism through North Asia, because it went along with the Buddhist monks' knowledge of medicine and herbs and healing, and their compassion for people of all castes, not just the upper castes like the Ayurveda people, but all castes in India. And then as they went in foreigners, mlechas, barbarians, outsiders, and everywhere they went, actually, in every country, including Tibet, in a way the Dharma was preceded by the Dharma doctors. And they would heal people, usually rulers or anybody. Sometimes they would heal common people and the rulers would hear about it, then they'd go and heal the grandmother, the ruler or something. and then they would be receptive to Buddhism. In China too, and some of the earliest temples in China, Korea, and Japan are to Yao Fu Shi, the medicine Buddha, Yakushi in Japan, and Yak Butsunim in Korea, and so the medicine, and it's amazing. I got into medicine Buddha thing last summer, renewing my old studies of medicine Buddha, and I was really flipped out. The fifth Dalai Lama rediscovered some of the teachings of the Emperor Chisong Dezen from 800 years earlier, who had built a monastery at Samye, the first monastery in Tibet, and who had held the first big medical conference. And somehow the whole Buddhist culture of Tibet grew from this vision that the emperor had of the medicine Buddha's vow, which is in the one Mahayana Sutra, which Shakyamuni Buddha revealed, which was that billions of aeons and universes ago, these 8 brothers of a certain king all decided to become Buddhas, and they managed to. And then, as Buddhas, they decided that they would become associated with medicine, because human beings have short lifespans, need medicine to sort of not get too sick on the pass of Mount Kanai. And so they needed to keep their lifespan, the best without getting incidental sicknesses, so they could study the Dharma and use it. And so they made a vow that after they'd been a Buddha in their own universe, they would always appear in any universe where they were needed when any Buddha gave a teaching for the thousands of years of the duration of the teaching, and they would spread the teaching of medicine, and which is very marvelous. It's not like Western medicine, where somehow the world is a very difficult place and everything is conspiring to destroy everybody, and you have to invent something from outside to deal with it. They say that their vision is that the whole earth is medicine, even the dirt is medicine, if you know how to use it, if you know which dirt to munch at which time, and which leaf, and even poison is medicine if you know how to deal with it. And so it's like a vision. I call it the vision of the medicine earth that they reveal. And so one time when Shakyamuni was teaching at one point, he turned into the medicine Buddha, and then he gave the teaching of medicine that became the foundation of the Tibetan medicine tradition. And so we're in this wonderful place. Actually, it's a good place to pray and to make a vow, as I did last night, about the medicine Buddha, and that the different medical systems in the world would be, brought together under the wisdom of the medicine Buddha. Because the Western medical system is in a real disaster situation, and the indigenous medical systems are very destroyed because the indigenous cultures have been very destroyed. And so the key is that the modern one has to gain some new respect for the indigenous ones and help rebuild them. And then the indigenous ones can use some revitalization and improvement from the Western modern one. And then we would have a good world medicine. The pretense that the West is going to save everybody with their industrial medicine is a total joke. They don't know how to do it. They really don't. And they haven't done it well at all. And every country is in population crisis, eco crisis, pollution crisis. It's incredible. And all of our new diseases, our cancers, AIDS and everything, are very related to the pollution, the industrial pollution of our own food chain, which is completely destroyed. But anyway, I don't want to get into that. Just saying that while we're here, we can think about the 8 medicine Buddhas, because they are the mountains around us. Supposedly they're present and they're vibrating in these mountains. It would be really great sometime to come here with the Lama, learned Lama, and have a little conference of doctors and spend a while in the valley. So in regard to the Kora, it's walking through the mirror wisdom and then coming back out into Ratnasambhava's valley of the southern valley, the valley of the wisdom of equality, which is the transmutation. The southern valley, the big open wide valley going down to Manasarovar, is the wisdom of equality, which is the transmutation of the poisons, mental poisons, of pride and miserliness, transmuted into equality, seeing sameness of self and other and so forth. And it has a golden color. The Eastern one has usually a white diamond color. We're in a diamond-colored wisdom, in other words, if we're walking in a mandala. Okay?
And the north is what?
Amoga City, which is Momoga City is the transmutation of the poison of envy and rivalry and competitiveness, which is what makes human beings unable to do anything because they fight and struggle to be the best and the first and so on. And that's transmuted into what is called the all-accomplishing wisdom, because when they cooperate, then they can do anything. Green. Green-eyed monster.
Green-eyed.
What?
The west is red.
West is red, which is the wisdom, which is the poison of lust, transmuted into the wisdom of individual discernment. Precise discernment. Amitabha, the Buddha of boundless light
South
and boundless life.
south is
Ratna Sambhava.
south is
Wisdom of equality, the source of all jewels, his name means, and that comes from conquering pride and miserliness.
and that color is
Gold.
that's south.
Yeah. And the center is dark blue, and is the poison of hatred, transmuted into ultimate reality, perfection, wisdom, ala Yamantaka.
Oh, so we're in the east now, right?
Yeah, we're in the east.
And that color is
White, diamond. And it's form, delusion. Okay? Yeah, well, the Indians have been barred from coming here for 50 years by the Chinese until just lately, the last, 5, 6 years, in small numbers. They have a lottery system they run in Delhi that allowed 400 a year, and now that's being increased. Slowly, as more people have come.
Started off with 200 the
Yeah.
first 2 years.
Well, that was lucky because they died. They weren't prepared. The Chinese rushed them through. They dragged them up here. The old pilgrimage routes up from Almora and from, I think, even
Srinagar.
from Muktinath and those places, those are all closed still. And they just bring a very controlled group in and out. And before that, actually, in a way, the Indian access was also blocked because under the reign of during the time of the Tibetan government, the last years of the Tibetan government, there was kind of a lot of lawlessness, banditry. This was way far away for them to really control. And the local governor, if you read Lama Govind's book, the local governor of Purang, the town below Manasarovar, they couldn't really control what went on, so it was kind of hazardous to get up here. A few very hardy sadhus did during the 30s and 40s, like Pranavananda and others, but it was not easy. And Satchidananda, the famous Swami Satchidananda, he spent many years here. And so a few people could come, but not many. So in the future, when if ever things are settled in this area properly, it could be quite a nice thing for the Indian people to come up. And actually, I personally totally withdraw my objection to if they want to make a nice road here, it would save people's lives. I don't mind that at all. If they could try to do it to keep for the walking thing for the Tibetans clean without disrupting it with zigzag things, they somehow figure a way of getting the road around a little bit and make it simple and not too elaborate, and don't put up like horrible tiled buildings selling like weird things. If they do it nicely and build stupas with the road and things like that, I don't object. Why? I remember years ago when I was here. Well, the guy who died now, who was a big Kailash person who lived here, he was saying like, "What shall we do?" I said, if somebody wants to put in an airport, I said, well, why wouldn't they put in an airport? You could evacuate people who get sick. Some people maybe who are hardy enough to climb this could fly in. Why not? He says, oh no, then they wouldn't suffer the long road. So then I advised him. I said he should set up an office, and then they would, people would call when they had the impulse to come to Kailash. Then he would send an agent out there and just shoot them right there at home. Shoot them at home. What the heck? Bring a Kailash bullet, and then that would save everybody the trouble. If it's suffering was the point,